In Russia, history has always been cyclical, a pendulum swinging between power and collapse. Once the epicenter of a superpower rivalry, today's Russia finds itself at a crossroads. Will it seek a path back into global society, potentially aligning with Trump's administration, or stay its current course toward further isolation? Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to America's Geopolitics for sharp, unfiltered takes on the forces shaping our world. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Russia's economy. For decades, energy exports have been Moscow's lifeline. Oil and gas money flowed like a river, fueling military ambitions and padding the pockets of oligarchs. But Western sanctions following the invasion of Ukraine have turned that river into a trickle. Moscow has found new buyers in China and India, but at a steep discount. Meanwhile, Europe's energy diversification has forced Russia to scramble for alternative markets. The ruble is struggling, inflation is climbing, and ordinary Russians are paying the price. The bigger question, can Russia adapt? Historically, Moscow has doubled down on central control in times of crisis. But this approach stifles innovation and locks the economy into dependency on volatile commodities. Without reform, the path forward looks grim. Even the so-called pivot to Asia isn't a magic bullet. While trade with China has grown, it's a relationship of dependence rather than partnership. Beijing holds the cards, and Moscow's options are narrowing by the day. For ordinary Russians, this isn't just an economic problem. It's a question of survival. Food prices are up, wages are down, and the promise of prosperity feels more like a distant memory. With Trump back in the White House, a new geopolitical reality is taking shape. Trump's administration brings an unpredictable mix of pressure and pragmatism. While the sanctions remain firmly in place, Trump's willingness to strike deals could offer Russia an opening to negotiate its way out of isolation. This path wouldn't be without its challenges. Any deal with Trump would likely require significant concessions from the Kremlin. These might include pulling back from Ukraine or reshaping alliances with nations like China. Yet aligning with Trump's America could open doors for limited sanctions relief, renewed trade opportunities, and a chance to re-enter global dialogues. But for Putin, this also presents a dilemma. Does he risk undermining his strongman image to secure a better future for Russia? Or does he double down on sovereignty and confrontation, even if it means economic stagnation? A deal with Trump wouldn't just impact Russia, it would send shockwaves through the international system. Europe would scramble to recalibrate its security priorities, while China might find itself reconsidering its own strategic ambitions. The alternative is to stay the course. This path prioritizes sovereignty and defiance over compromise. It means doubling down on alliances with China, Iran, and other countries willing to defy the West. But this comes at a steep cost. Sanctions would continue to choke the economy. The talent drain would worsen as more Russians leave in search of opportunity, and global trust in Russia as a partner would remain at an all-time low. Staying the course might preserve the Kremlin's internal narrative of defiance, but it risks locking Russia into long-term decline, unable to adapt to a rapidly changing world. The danger isn't just economic, it's existential. A nation that isolates itself risks losing its brightest minds, its cultural relevance, and its future potential. For the West, this is a moment of strategic clarity. Trump's willingness to explore a détente with Moscow could redefine the global balance of power, but it's far from guaranteed. Meanwhile, preparing for a more isolated, adversarial Russia requires strengthening alliances and maintaining pressure on Moscow. One thing is certain: the decisions made in Washington and Moscow in the coming years will shape not just Russia's future, but the global order for decades to come. The West must be prepared for both outcomes: a Russia that seeks reintegration and a Russia that becomes an enduring pariah state. In either case, vigilance and unity are key. Russia's future hinges on a choice: adapt to the new reality of Trump's America and seek reconciliation with the West, or double down on defiance and face the consequences of further isolation. For now, the world watches as Moscow weighs its options. What do you think? Should Russia pivot toward reconciliation with the West, or is it destined to stay the course? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to America's Geopolitics for more in-depth analysis.